Hello everybody, it's lovely to be back with you again. So let's get ready for the next instalment of Baby Aliens Got My Teacher. So where were we? Plans, diversions and smelly toes. On Friday, me and Zach left for school extra early to make a plan to find out if the office ladies were aliens too. But when we got to the den, Jodie was already there and said she had been up all night. And then she said, "We've got 20 minutes until the first bell, so listen up." Zach asked where Maisie was, and Jodie said that her mum said that Maisie's mum was taking her to the doctor's today after all the vomit. Maisie's mum said that Maisie must have had an ear infection now as well, because she keeps screaming, "My ears are burning!" in the middle of the night. So we listened to Jodie's plan and looked at all the drawings and the list we had made in her bed last night when her mum went to sleep. And then Jodie said, "Any questions?" And Zach said, "What if the office ladies catch us?" And Jodie said, "That is not an option." And we agreed. When we got to class, Miss Jones was back, and so was her teddy. I hadn't noticed it before, but the teddy looked a bit weird. It had a wonky smile and its eyes looked too shiny. We still didn't know what Miss Jones was going to do with her teddy, but we knew that it was definitely some kind of time bomb. Jodie stared at the teddy. Her eyes were really wide and she wasn't blinking. She looked scared, and Jodie never gets scared about anything. Not even the time we crawled inside her grand's attic and found a huge snakeskin cocoon at the back, which meant there must have been a huge snake up there. I jumped back down, but Jodie stayed up there for ages with a mop, saying "sss, sss," to try and get the snake to come out of its hiding place. But then Jodie's gran came upstairs and said, "What on God's green earth are you doing up there?" And so I told her about the snakeskin cocoon. And she said, "Jodie, come down here before you're eaten alive." And then she phoned the exterminator. Then the exterminator came in his green and red van. But after his investigation, he said that it wasn't a snakeskin cocoon, but that it was just one of Gran's old stockings. Anyway, Miss Jones was being all nice again today, so we waited until after break and then we started the plan. Jack put his hand up and asked if he could go to the toilet, and Miss Jones said yes and gave him a note. Then 2 minutes later, Jodie rubbed white chalk on her face that we had found in the den from the old days and said, "Miss, look, I think Jodie's going to be sick." And Jodie said, "I must have what Maisie Miller has." And Miss Jones took one look at Jodie and said that I should take her to the nurse right away. So we left. And Jodie was all hunched over like she was going to be sick until we got into the corridor, and then we started to run. We met Zach at the stairs just before the school office. The plan was to get the office ladies out of the office and then search the office for alien evidence. We all knew that aliens would probably eat alien food, not normal food like ham sandwiches or pizza. So if we found any alien food, we'd know for sure that the office ladies were aliens too. So Zach said we needed to create a diversion, which meant we had to come up with an idea to get the office ladies out of the office so we could do our search. That's when I remembered the time 6S did their cake sale in the staff room. That time I remember having to wait ages at the office, for absolutely ages, until the office ladies eventually came back with their cakes and cups of tea. So we told Zach he had to go and knock on the glass window and say that 6S were selling cakes again in the staff room. But he said he didn't want to because he was telling a lie. So Jodie said that telling Miss Jones he needed to go to the toilet when he didn't was a lie too. And Zach said, "That's not a real lie because Miss Jones isn't a person, she's an alien." And then he said that it was okay to lie to aliens. So I said, if the office ladies were aliens, then it was okay to lie to them too. And if we found out that the office ladies weren't aliens, then Jodie would get her mum to give them a big box of cakes from the bakery to say sorry for telling the lie. So Zach said okay and walked over and knocked on the glass window and told the lady the lie about the cakes. And it worked. Loads of them came out. I never realised how many office ladies there were before. That's because you can't really see much when you're standing in the office, because the glass window is a bit high and you can only really see the lady that comes to the window, and sometimes you can see all the way up her nose if she sticks her head right out. So as soon as the office ladies were gone, we climbed through the glass window and into the office. Jodie kept saying, "This is it, no turning back." And I looked at her and nodded, because this was serious. And then she told Zach to be on the lookout, but he was already looking in the filing cabinet for alien evidence. So I said I would be the lookout. So I sat on the chair at the glass window and made sure no one was coming. And that's when I saw the name on the sign-in sheet. That's the sheet at the window in the office that the ladies make you sign if you're even 1 second late for school. They even make you sign it if it's because you stopped to help a terrapin who had gone the wrong way and couldn't get back to the pond in the park, and you were just helping it not to die on the pavement, like the time that happened to me. And then I got to school, and then I got my school report, and Mum said it had 2 lakes, and she said, "What is all this about, Isabella?" So I told her about the terrapin. I told her that one, but I couldn't tell her about the other one because it was Dad's fault, and he had said not to tell Mum. So I said that the other one was the terrapin too, and she sent me to my room. So anyway, I said, "Look," and Jodie said, "Shh," and Zach said, "Is it them? Is it them?" And I said, "No," and held up the sign-in sheet, and this is what it said: Maisie Miller, 4J, 10:05 a.m. And then Zach said, "But we just left the classroom and she wasn't there. Why would she sign in but not come to class?" And then I had a terrible thought, and I said, "What if the office ladies have got her?" And Jodie's eyes went even wider, and Zach said we had to find her right away before they could put a baby alien in her ear. But then we heard shoes clip-clopping along the corridor, and I peeked out and saw one of the office ladies coming back. "It's too late to climb out," Jodie said. "Hide!" And then she hid behind the curtain. But me and Zach didn't know where to hide, and we couldn't fit behind the curtain too, so we both squashed in under one of the desks. We held our breath when the office lady came in and shut the door. We were trapped. I was just about to whisper to Zach that we needed to create another diversion, but then the office lady sat down at the desk we were hiding under. We had to squash ourselves against the back as much as we could so we didn't touch her legs. Then the office lady kicked off her high heels and one of them hit Zach in the head. So I quickly covered his mouth like they do on the TV to stop him from shouting, "Ouch!" And it worked. The office lady started wiggling her toes loads, and we could hear her typing on the keyboard. I didn't know what was going to happen if we got caught. I thought maybe we would get sent to the head teacher. But then I remembered that the head teacher was probably an alien too. So she might not send us to the head teacher. She might just zap us with her eye beams, or eat us, or put baby aliens in our ears, like what probably happened to poor Maisie. And then Zach did a little gasp and pointed to the foot that was beside him. And I saw that the office lady had a weird squashed pinky toe that wasn't even really a toe. It was a little stump with a tiny little nail on it that she would probably need a microscope to even be able to see properly. I wasn't sure if this was alien evidence or not, but it looked a bit weird anyway. The office lady kept wriggling her toes and Zach couldn't stop staring at them. It was starting to get really smelly under the desk, and the office lady's weird pinky stump was almost touching Zach's knee, and I needed to cough, and I thought we were going to get caught. But then someone rang the bell at reception. The office lady stopped wriggling her toes and groaned. Then she kept typing for another whole 2 minutes before she finally started trying to find her shoes. So we shoved them over beside her feet so she didn't have to look under the desk, and then she groaned again and got up. We waited to hear what was happening, and then a little voice said, "Come quick, someone's locked in the girls' toilets." And then I recognised the voice. It was Maisie. She'd saved us. Then the office lady said, I can't get 1 minute to myself. And then we heard her high heels clip-clopping down the corridor. Then Maisie whispered, hurry, before she gets back. And then she said she'd meet us in the den. So me and Zach crawled out, and so did Jodie. And then Zach said the door and said, look! We didn't know where the door went to, but we could hear some of the other office ladies coming back, so we opened it and went through it, because anywhere was better than being stuck under the desk with a smelly alien toe. But when we shut the door behind us, we all went really quiet, because we knew exactly where we were. We were in the deputy head's office. Next chapter. We should not be in here. I couldn't believe it. We were in scary Miss Scythe's office. We knew where we were because last year Jodie had said that she and her mum were vegetarians now, because her mum had read on the internet that all the famous people were vegetarians and it was the best thing to do if you wanted to grow your hair long and shiny. So when we went to the school dinners, the dinner lady asked Jodie if she wanted what she wanted, and Jodie said, I'll have the vegetarian option, please. And the dinner lady said that the only vegetarian option was cabbage. Yuck. And Jodie said she didn't like cabbage and that she wanted a veggie burger. And the dinner lady said they didn't have any of those and just put a big dollop of cabbage on Jodie's plate. So then Jodie had a JT, Jodie tantrum, and then started screaming it was all against her human rights. And then she was going to get her mum up to the school. And then we made a poster about the school dinners and human rights, and we tried to put it up in the dinner hall. But then we both got sent to the deputy head's office. So that's how we knew where we were. But Zach didn't know where he was until I told him, because Zach is usually good and doesn't get into trouble too much, like we do sometimes. And when he does, he usually just starts crying, then he doesn't get into trouble anymore. So anyway, Zach started panicking because he's the most scared of Miss Scythe. And he said, let's go before she gets back, let's go, let's go! But Jodie said that we should have a quick look for evidence, since we were here already. Then she said that if the office ladies were next door to Miss Scythe, then Mrs. Scythe might be an alien too. I didn't want to stay either, because Miss Scythe is really scary, not just like a normal human. But there was no point in arguing with Jodie. She had that look on her face. Like the time she decided we were going to win the three-legged race at the fun day, and she made us practice every break and every lunch for 2 weeks. But then Lindsay Perry said she was going to win with Ashley Todd, and Jodie said we had to crank it up a notch, which meant I had to stay at her house that weekend, and she made us stay tied together all weekend except for showers and toilet use. But then, on the fun day, we won and got a trophy and everything, and Lindsay Perry was furious, so it was worth it. So anyway, we started searching for alien evidence. We looked in all of the drawers and cabinets, and then Zach said to look inside all the books on the bookshelves, because he said he saw a programme once where all these rich people kept old books on shelves, and that some of the books weren't books at all, and that they were safes and had secret compartments to keep secret stuff and jewels in. So we started looking inside the books, and then Jodie whispered, evidence, because she found a lunchbox in Miss Scythe's bag and a little fish inside, and Zach said, alien food! But then we heard a toilet flushing, and we looked around and we saw that there were 3 doors in Miss Scythe's office, the one we had come through when we escaped from the ladies in the office, and 2 more. I said, she's got her own toilet, and pointed to the noise where it was coming from. And then we ran out the 3rd door and didn't stop until we got to the den. Speechless. In a bad way. When we got to the den, Maisie was already there. Zach gave her a big hug and said, we thought they'd got you. And I said, where have you been? And then Jodie checked her ears. Maisie told us that her mum had wanted her to go to the doctor's because she said she was practically on her deathbed. But the receptionist at the doctor's said there were no appointments left for the day, so Maisie's mum had taken her straight to the big hospital, and then the doctor there had said there was nothing wrong with Maisie's ears, and that sometimes children just vomit for no apparent reason, like cats. So Maisie's mum said, my daughter is not a cat. And then she asked to see the other doctor. And then when another doctor came, he didn't say anything about cats. He just looked in Maisie's ears and checked her temperature. And then he said that she was fine, so Mum dropped her off at school. Then Maisie said, I think we've got a serious problem. And then she pulled something out of her school bag and said, when I signed in, the office lady gave me this because I'd been ill. And then she opened her bag, and what we saw was a Kit Kat. And then Jodie said, hard evidence. And we knew what this meant. It meant that the office ladies really were aliens, because they usually just ignored us. Then Maisie's voice went really weird, and I couldn't hear what she was saying at first because her voice was shaking so much. Like the time at assembly when I had the biggest reading to do and everyone was staring at me. And some of the older kids were laughing and my hands were all sweaty and I felt sick every time I started reading. And my voice went really shaky because I was going to cry. And then I heard Maisie say, there's something else. I heard Zach do a gulp, and then Maisie said, the office lady put her hand out of the glass window and tried to touch my head. I think she was trying to put a baby alien in my ear. So I ran. Then Maisie said she had been too scared to come to class in case Miss Jones was back, so she hid in the den. And then she said she had heard us when we passed to go to the office and followed us. And Jodie said, was there really someone locked in the toilet? And Zach said, no, it was a diversion, wasn't it? And Maisie said yes, and we all told Maisie she was really brave and thanked her for saving us. Then Jodie told Maisie about being in the deputy head's office and the alien food, and we found with a little fish. And then Maisie's eyes started doing weird cross-eyed things. So Zach said we all should sit down and relax and have a cup of cold tea and drink it too this time, because that's what Mum and Gran always do if they've had a big fight. So we did just that. After our tea, Jodie said we should go back to class ASAP so Miss Jones and the other aliens wouldn't get suspicious. So she said they might know we're onto them, so act normal. So we all said we would, and then Maisie went really pale like Jodie and had when she had the chalk painted face. Then Jodie said we should put all our hands together in a circle before we went because we're a team, and Zach said we should call Team Take Down the Aliens, because we were the team that was taking down the aliens. But Jodie said that was too long, so I said we could just be called Alien Attackers. But Maisie said that sounded too scary and too violent, so we said we wouldn't have a name. But it didn't matter anyway, because we didn't need a name. We had another plan. When we got back to class, Miss Jones didn't even seem to notice how long we'd been gone. She was too busy singing and dancing with her weird, evil-looking teddy. So we just joined in and pretended like nothing had happened. We didn't know why we were dancing in the middle of the classroom. We usually didn't do dancing unless it was country dancing with Mrs. Small, who smells like corned beef. Also, it's quite hard to act normal like Jodie had said we should, because it wasn't exactly normal to be dancing in the classroom at 11:30 when we were usually doing our spellings. I was just about to say to Zach that we should all sit down and watch when Miss Jones started screaming and clapping her hands, and then she said, Gary! What a beautiful dance! And then Gary did a twirl and a jumpy thing and looked at me and smiled really wide and said, you look nice today, Izzy. Would you like to dance? And I was speechless. Like the time the head teacher said he wanted to turn the school into a green school, which only means a school that is good at recycling and saving the planet. But me and Jodie didn't know that until after. So me and Jodie helped with the recycling, and then we got green paint from Dad's shed and we painted the reception, the toilets, the steps, the 2 cars in the car park, and then the head teacher saw what we had done and he was completely speechless. Mum said you can be speechless in a good way or a bad way. Jodie said she thought Mr. Murphy was speechless in a good way because we'd done such a great job and we would definitely get the green school trophy from the council now. But I think Mr. Murphy was speechless in a bad way because he cried a little bit. So anyway, when Gary tried to hold my hand with his bogey fingers and get me to dance with him, I was definitely speechless in a bad way. I looked at Jodie and she was just shocked. She was just as shocked as I was, and her mouth was hanging wide open. Something wasn't right. Gary was dancing and being polite, and Gary didn't even like dancing. Every time Mrs. Small came, he moaned and said that dancing was for girls and that he wasn't doing it. And then he would give Mrs. Small cheek and get sent to the deputy head teacher. That's how we found out Miss Jones must have put an alien in Gary's ear. We're going to stop there for now, but our next chapter is a really favourite game of mine. Heads down, thumbs up. I wonder if it's about the same game. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye.